I would sit in front of the computer and talk sexually to what I thought was a 13-year-old girl. I had felt like I had found someone that cared about me and not my wallet. I would continue saying sexual things to her because I thought she wanted me to, and I only wanted to make her happy because I didn't want to lose a person I thought really cared about me as a person, versus me as someone they could use for their own personal gain. I went as far as to show Kayla myself naked on webcam, and even went to quote-unquote, her house, even though I knew I didn't want to, and had continuously said as much to quote-unquote, Kayla, that we couldn't meet until she was 18. But in the end, I went to her quote-unquote, her house, to meet what I thought was a 13-year-old girl. On the way to Kayla's house, I wanted to turn around and go back home. I almost turned around on the median, but decided I would get off at the next exit and go back home. It turned out that there was a long gap between exits, and the next exit ended up being the one I would use to go to quote-unquote, Kayla's house. I got off the next exit and found my way to quote-unquote, her house. I drove past quote-unquote, her house, and turned around in the next driveway, still not wanting to go there. I drove past quote-unquote, her house, and went to the rotary just past her house. I stopped on the rotary, and debated whether to go there or not. I began driving again and was going to drive past again, until I saw Kayla in the driveway, waving me down. I turned into the driveway and parked my truck. She greeted me as I got out of my truck, and we made small talk as she led me into the house and told me to try out quote-unquote, her new chair. I sat in it and she sat across from me on the arm of another chair, explaining the massage and heat and cooling things about the chair. After the small talk, she asked me if I brought condoms. I told her I did, and they were in the truck. I told her I also brought quote-unquote, her, the gift that she asked me to bring. Then she said,
"What good are they doing out there?"
Meaning the condoms. I told her I wanted a kiss first. She said,
"Let's talk a bit first."
So I continued sitting still, ready to start talking to her. That's when Chris Hansen walked out and quote-unquote, Kayla, left. Chris Hansen sat down across from me and began asking me questions. The first thought in my head was that he was a cop or quote-unquote, her father, because I had never seen him on TV before. When he was finished asking me questions because I stopped talking, he asked me if I knew who he was. I told him, no. He told me he was Chris Hansen with MSNBC, and they were doing a segment on child predators. I was pissed because I knew I never wanted to go there. Just then, the TV crew came out with cameras, and I got up saying, "Oh God," and walked out of the house. As soon as I walked out of the house, I got arrested. I ended up here because it was court mandated, along with 60 months of incarceration, lifetime sex offender registry, and lifetime probation.